and I just had a birthday, and she got me she knows I'm kind of a nerd, so she got me a fishing game for my computer. Have you seen some of these new computer games? This thing is so realistic. I was sitting there drinking beer, catching fish. I stood up in the boat, whizzed all over the living room carpet. Oh, I laughed too. I was there. The carpet cleaner guy came the next day. He's like, y'all are lying. You ain't got no dog. I said, we do too. He run away right after he wrote my name. I love to fish. When I catch fish, I keep them. Some people throw them back in the water. That is stupid. A hunter would never shoot a deer and then patch his butt up with Band-Aids. They call it catch and release. The fish call it dang traumatic. He's back in that water going, what in the world was that all about? Thanks to you and your hook, I can blow bubbles right through my face. Now I'm late for school. We swim in a school. I know it's stupid. I'm trying to be clean. Work with me.
I have a theory why men like to hunt and fish, though. I think men hunt and fish because if guys are going to spend a lot of time together, just two of you in some remote place, just the two of you alone, something eventually has to end up dead. Otherwise, it starts to feel too much like a date. It does. Most men cannot go up to their friend, hey, do you want to get up really early tomorrow and go row a boat around the lake for a couple hours? We'll sit close and whisper. No, what? But you throw in, I'll bring my gun in case we see a duck. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, let's go for the weekend, just us. I mean, yeah, men are uncomfortable, but the guys fishing, you just tow. You don't have to have good bait. Just tow a string with a hook on it. We could do this for hours. We're going to catch a big one. Pull the string out. Are we done? No, I just thought we'd kind of paddle about for a bit. Put the string in. It feels better. I feel more comfortable with the string. I never actually maced a bear while leading a hike. I did have to use it once while I was fishing up there years later. I was standing in a river in southeast Alaska wearing the hip waders, which are the dorkiest bit of outdoor paraphernalia. I was on there kind of ironic, man, I want to go out in the woods and extract nutrients from the wilderness. I want to live like my forebears, just me and nature. I'll survive. But I don't want my legs to be cold and wet. That is like, ooh. But there's some big pants I can put on, be safe. So I've got these hip waders on, and I hook a fish, and I yell, fish on! And my friend Jim, who's about 50 yards away, looks at me and yells, bear! Okay, you guys didn't really laugh at that. For those who don't know, that is not the proper fish-on echo that you're hoping to hear. Maybe you don't fish. But sure enough, I looked to my left, and there, poking his head out of the bushes, was this full-grown coastal Alaskan brown bear, over 1,000 pounds, just sort of sticking his head out, looking for yummy scrumptables down by the river. And at that point, my fish decides it's a good time to jump out of the water. Right. Which I know, and not any kind of normal fish jump I'd ever seen either. This was like an audition for Field and Stream magazine cover. I'm serious, I'd never seen a fish. He came out of the water and then just kept spanking the water with his tail. He wouldn't go back down. Little droplets flying like diamonds everywhere. The sun glistening off his silver scales. It looked like a Cher concert. This big white salmon belly just full of roe. Just, oh, Mr. Bear. Oh, I feel so full of eggs, I can't even move. I wish someone would just bite me. And the bear kind of did a Scooby-Doo, right? And started scampering towards me. So now, technically, I'm not even fishing. I'm trolling for bear. True. I use bait to get bigger bait. I don't know how much this daisy chain of bait will continue, but eventually I'm going to get a redneck if it goes on long enough, right? So I do what I was trained to do. I ripped my bear mace off my Velcro strap and pointed it and went, ah! Sprayed it. Now, here's what's missing from the can. Some kind of wind direction indicator. Yeah, maybe a little orange windsock at the top, a little rooster with an arrow, anything, really. Because I emptied the can and the wind just blew it all right back in my face. Just every single droplet of that noxious gas, and it works. It's unbelievable. I couldn't see. My mucous membranes were in overdrive. I just instantly standing there going, But I'm here to tell you the story because I found out that day bear mace works in two ways. If it gets on the bear, it stings their eyes, they run away. If it gets on you, apparently bears don't like Cajun food. So he left me alone. I couldn't see him because I was blinded, but I could hear him, I swear, 10 feet away, and he didn't touch me. He just kind of walked by going, oh, that's way too spicy. I am not having that. Oh.
I was just reminiscing in my head about a day I had my dad all to myself, one fishing trip. We went camping down at Lake Taneycomo there in the Missouri Hills. Lake Taneycomo had some trout, and my dad took me fishing. For some reason, I had him all to myself, and it was a special day. You know that feeling if you're in a big family. I got my dad all to myself today. And we went out there. He was doing the fly fishing. He was doing the fancy. And I had my Zebco push button. I think I was about 6 or 7. Had the push button reel and a can of corn, right? Got my can of corn. I think it's illegal, but it's okay. Because I wasn't catching any fish. I had a bobber, hunting for trout. With my bobber, I would bait my hook. I was glad it wasn't a worm because compassion. And then I would worry. I worried about the fish. I'm like, Dad, doesn't that hurt them when you catch them? And he's like, oh, little girl, don't you worry about these fish. They have no nerve endings in their mouth. Made a note of it. You just think about setting the hook and getting them in the net. We're going to have supper tonight. So I was out there. I was, casting. The bobber would go this way, the hook over there, and the corn way over there. Everything's everywhere. I just kept trying. Then I would get hung up in the brush behind, I'm not saying it was the lazy eye. I'm just saying something. I have no excuse, actually. And my dad was having to put down his seltzer. He would splash that down, and he would run over and untangle it and throw it out there, getting kind of huffy. And I'm like, ooh, I'm nervous now. I start getting sweaty palms because I want to impress my dad. He always rewarded efficiency and intelligence. And I was like, yes, I can do this. And so I was trying to get focused on casting, and I would get hung up again. And I'm nervous. And he said, look, next time you get hung up, just pop it like this. Pop it out. Pop it out. Just pop it. Like, I got it, Dad. I'm with you. So next time I got hung up, man, I was like, I'm on it. I was popping it. And I couldn't get it out. He's yelling at me, Nancy! I'm like, doing my best. I turn around. He's got a piece of corn right there. What's he doing with corn on his face? I was a keeper. My knees were just shaking. Oh no. He turned on his heel. He ran back to camp. I'm trying to keep slacking the line. I'm running after him. Wait. Unbeknownst to me, he had cut the line and was running. Oh my goodness. That is a sad, true story. By the time I got back to camp, my mom and he were just like turning up, donuts, around the campsite and heading to the doctor. And I just felt so bad. And he came to one comedy show that I ever did. So I told that story, and I had to admit, I think that scarred me for life. And he yelled from the back, "It scarred me too." Yeah, I set the hook. Past the barb. I never did get him in the net.
But Peter, they had their spokesperson on the radio. This lady, she said they want to ban fishing. She said fishing is cruel because fish have the same central nervous system as people, so they feel pain like us. She then went on to say, how would you like it if you were walking down the street and your lip was impaled and you're yanked out of this environment into a different environment where you couldn't breathe? And I started thinking, well, that would mean that you were a fish. Because people are way too smart, or we should be, and if we're not, maybe it's better that we're gone. Because if you're walking down the street with your buddies and you see some food on a hook, walk around it! I think we should be a little bit suspicious anyway if all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's a sandwich bobbing in front of us. We're worrying about way too many things. Sometimes we try so hard to worry, we end up worrying the wrong way. I overheard a couple guys talking about this 940-pound man. First guy goes, 940 pounds, that is too bad. The other guy goes, yeah, he almost made it to 1,000. And then I started thinking about the PETA lady, and if she was correct, there really was something out there fishing for humans. Could you imagine their surprise if they caught that guy? Oh, you know he would be mounted and hanging on a wall. Well, that there's your largemouth, big-bellied human. Yeah, I caught him on a turkey spinner. He almost pulled me out of the spaceship.
I love fishing. Guys would go fishing just because there's a little beer involved, right? Like, I'm ready. Oop, forgot my pole. I'm driving by Lake Erie one day, two guys fishing dressed in full camouflage. These boys are drinking, right? Like the fisher going, darn y'all, look, a bush with a pole. Ever watch fishing on TV? The worst. I was watching fishing on TV. Guy in his boat, he had a fish finder. I'm like, pretty sure they're in the water. And you ladies go fishing? Right here, you put the worm on the hook. Oh, I can't do that. That's like knitting with live yarn. I can't. All my worms end up back in a box on crutches. Man, he messed us up. Look at me.
I have 6 kids. I know that probably scares y'all, knowing that I'm reproducing. I do have 6 children. I have 9 grandchildren, 2 of which my wife and I are raising because somebody else isn't. My wife and I are raising 2 of my grandchildren, Ethan and Marie. Ethan is 6, and Marie is 4. She'll be 5 next month. And Ethan, I love him to death. He's at the stupid question age. He'll just ask you the dumbest stuff in the world. I had him out fishing not long ago, and he calls me Popo, and he said to me, Popo, why don't the fish down there in that water, why don't those fish rust? Oh, get up, you're not hurt. That's not salt water.
I got my man from Wyoming. That means he's into outdoor stuff. He just wants to go hunting and fishing. That's all he wants, hunting and fishing, hunting and fishing, hunting and fishing. And when we first got married and we were trying to have a baby and I'm trying to romance him, I did normal stuff, like candles and music, right? And romance, none of that works. And then I realized, okay, you gotta kind of approach a guy with what he likes. And so I figured out how to make it work. I ended up standing in the middle of the bathtub wearing a pair of rubber waders. Come on, go fish, baby. Go fish. Mwah. 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 That's my man right there. That's my man.
I guess the thing, I don't understand camouflage as a fashion statement. Like, that's where you lose me, you know? Why do people wear camouflage when they're fishing? That doesn't make any sense to me. The fish can't see you, you're fine. Don't you throw shiny things into the water to get them to come? You guys are all with me, yeah, we don't know. The ninth wonder of the world. So you're telling me a fish can't see a worm on a hook, but it's looking up at the boat like, nah, I know that guy. We've done this before. That wasn't a fish, that was the lady with one arm.
I asked a guy in the front row a couple days ago, I go, what's your favorite sport? He said, fishing. I go, no, it's sport, but you can't say that. Because I was joking, but they were not laughing. We're like, it is a sport, I sit! I'm like, that's my kind of sport. Yeah. Be weird to bring one of these there on the shore, like, get that walleye! You stink! Been here for 5 minutes.
I feel good, man. Are you outdoors people? Anybody like to fish? Yeah, really? I used to fish, then one day it struck me, you can buy fish. Why am I in a boat at 4 a.m., you know? If I want a hamburger, I don't track cattle down.
According to science, goldfish have a 6-second memory. Makes the whole evening worthwhile, doesn't it? And it makes sense when you think about it that a fish would have a short memory. You can tell that by looking at the system we use to catch them. That would never work on an animal that could remember stuff. Big school of fish swimming around, drop a worm on a hook right in the middle of them. Fish is thinking, hey, there's a worm. Well, Frank's got it. It's a trick! It's a trap! They got Frank! He's gone! He's gone! Hey, there's a worm. Then the scientists tell us fish is brain food. Huh.
I'm fascinated by things. I'm fascinated by sports. I like sports. I like sports events where both competitors are prepared for the contest to begin. Look, we're in an outdoorsy, you guys camp. In fishing, only one of the athletes is aware that the game is afoot. Southern California, there's a fishing show on the radio every weekend. Fishing on the radio. I didn't know fishing was so complicated they had to have a guy help them out with fish. When you think about what fishing is, seriously, and I know there are people here that fish, I don't care. The essence of fishing is you trying to outsmart a fish. And the fish are winning because they're still fish. You understand it? There are no more dodo birds because we won. We're man. We're top of the food chain, yet we still can't beat these fish. We got radar, depth finders, yet you... And boats, we can go out to the fish, yet you can go fishing, come home with no fish. Fish have no technology. You understand the point I'm making here? None. There are no fish meetings. All right, everybody, gather around. We're still battling the evolvers. Hank, what have you got? Well, I've been thinking about it. Looks like our best bet is still swim away. All right, we're gonna go with swim away.
So a lot of you can tell I'm originally from San Francisco. Been doing the online dating. I have a friend doing the online dating. Did I say that out loud? Picture's always from like 8 years ago, right? Like this one girl I met up had with like 8 lip rings and 5 nose rings, 16 earrings. She kind of looked like a catch and release trout having a bad day. Yeah. So I threw her back. Yeah, right. Yeah. You'd be on your way. Looked like she had swallowed the hook. She had a pierced tongue. And I said, why do you have a pierced tongue? And she said, the fact that it looks great. And
You ever see these kind of stories? Somebody gets killed, kind of tragic circumstances. Maybe they were rock climbing, fishing, skydiving, they get killed. And people always say this. I know they mean well. They go, at least he died doing something he loved. Which to me is the cruelest irony of all time. Because if I told you I was going to teach you how to fish, you're going to love fishing. You're going to fish almost every weekend for the next 30 years. But eventually, you're going to fall off a boat and drown. You'd go, well, you know what? I think I want to learn how to draw. You want to be happy for somebody? Hope they died doing something they hated. Then they didn't have to finish. I want to die on Thanksgiving weekend at my in-laws' house. Maybe I can ruin that weekend for them one time. You ever hear I died under those circumstances? I want you to be happy for me. Ah, that's great. He hated doing that.
And they only go after the people that hunt with guns, I've noticed. Why don't they go after the fishermen? Be consistent. Go after the fishermen, the most ruthless hunters I have ever seen. They will catch this poor fish, bail it for 20 minutes, pull it out of its environment. It's suffocating. Meanwhile, I'm taking pictures. Look what I did. Look what I did. Take pliers, rip the hook out of his face, and then throw him back. If I'm a fish, I'm thinking, what was that all about? Eat me! I get a big hole in my face thanks to you. I'm a freak now. Gotta join some fish sideshow. Hi, I'm Blowhole.